it's Nicole here at the Harmonious Hippy. I hope you have all had a great weekend, a great week. I hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day last week. My birthday was fabulous. I'm still nursing a bit of a sprained ankle, still healing a little bit here, so you might notice that I've got a couple of props with me today, just holding that up. I can't quite fully sickle the ankle yet, so I need to kind of keep it a little bit straight. But today's practice is just going to be a quick, relatively quick, wind down, stretch out, and relax before bed. So it is sort of a yin style. Yin is where you are staying in the postures for a lot longer to really let gravity sink you into the poses. And the idea is that you line your frame up so that your bones are kind of taking the weight of the body as opposed to using the muscles to hold you up. This way your muscles can kind of really release and relax into the postures. So be prepared for that. Bring any props you think you might need. I always have this knee pad with me. I've got a pillow with me. You might want to fold up a blanket and get that with you as well. I've also got 2 blocks, and I do have my candle with me today, and I'm going to light some sage before we get practicing. So just any props that you think you'll need. It's like I think I'm a beauty influencer or something. Any props that you think you might need. Products too, if you want a tea with you, maybe you want to do this in a face mask. I don't know, relax, whatever way feels best for you. I'm in my jammies. So just anything that's comfortable and cozy for you, just to get you ready for bed and nice and wrung out for that. So without any further chatting, let's get started. Okay, so just coming to your mat, sitting cross-legged. I will probably end up popping my leg out just because it is feeling a little bit sore in my ankle. But do come to a pillow or a block just to sit on, just so that you get that bit of anterior tilt to your pelvis, just so you're not, curving into the lower back. You want to be sitting up nice and tall here. So I'm going to go ahead and light my candle. And this is a lovely Aquarius candle that I actually got from my Secret Santa for Christmas. So for anyone who doesn't know astrology, February 14th, Valentine's Day baby, I am an Aquarius. For anyone who really does know astrology, I am an Aquarius sun, Cancer moon, and a Virgo rising. So maybe one day I'll do a video discussing that further. I'm just gonna let my ankle out here. For those of you that means nothing to, I will eventually do a video just discussing that a little bit further and talking about astrology and your natal chart. But for today, not as necessary. We're just gonna get nice and relaxed today. Usually I liked Palo Santo, but today I chose to go with sage. I haven't saged my space in a while, so it is feeling a little bit, sticky. I don't know, depending on how I have the camera situated right now, I don't know if you can see the little man that's come up in the corner here. This is our freshest son, our newest cat in the Harmonious family, Hansel. If you can't see him, he's the little black cat I've posted some pictures about. He is a rescue. I've rescued all of my cats from the Cayman Islands Humane Society. And he is, unlike Herman and Heidi, very, very skittish. So he's still, despite the fact that he will come up and lay on me occasionally, he lets me pet him a little bit. He's still very, very nervous, especially when I stand up and he realizes that I'm not tiny. He tends to be a little bit like, whoa, how did you get so much bigger all of a sudden? So just clearing out your space. So maybe you'll get to see him hopping in throughout the practice today. So just clearing your space however you choose, whether you want to light something, candle, some incense or something like that, whatever works best for you to get your space kind of cleared. I'm going to move my candle off to the side as well, just so I don't roll over and light my hair on fire. Alrighty, so just coming to your comfortable seat here. You can sit on your couch or on a chair. Just for this beginning part, we're just going to do a bit of a coming into our bodies meditation here. So just bringing your hands onto your knees, onto your legs. You can have the palms down for grounding or palms up for receiving. If I'm doing a sort of sleepy bedtime practice, I like to do palms down myself, but that's up to you. Just rolling the shoulders up and back, sitting up nice and tall, closing down the eyes. And just immediately starting to tune into the body. mind, noticing what you're feeling here today. I've come off a great birthday weekend. I've had 2 days off now, off of work on top of the weekend, but I didn't do much of anything, so I'm feeling a little bit antsy almost. Trying to release that idea of guilt when you haven't done anything myself, but so I'm sitting with the feeling of jitteriness, like I needed to move my body or something. Just observing what's there for you without judgment. Just seeing what that is, seeing what's there. And scanning down from the top of the head, scanning through the body. Again, observing what's going on. Maybe there's some sensation or tingling somewhere. Maybe you notice some heaviness or lightness. Maybe there's a bit of pain. I'm not getting stuck or dwelling anywhere for too long, but just observing that. And as you come to the end of that body scan, just beginning to tune into the breath. Not trying to change anything here, but just seeing what your breath is doing right now. Perhaps it's quite shallow, maybe you've just eaten dinner and you're feeling quite full. Noticing it's a little bit hard to breathe maybe. Or perhaps already just having sat here for this short amount of time, your breath has already naturally deepened a little. Just noticing that. And just continually going back body, noticing where you tend to hold stress or tension, and just frequently checking back in there, noticing if your shoulders are starting to creep up towards the ears, if you're starting to grind your teeth or clench your jaw. Perhaps you've noticed a little frown has naturally come onto your face. Just letting that go, exhaling the shoulders down by the sides. Bringing that tongue up to the top of the front teeth to release the jaw. And relaxing all the tiny muscles around the eyes. Just being here in this moment in your body. And just taking a couple of cleansing breaths before we get started. So taking a deep inhale through the nose. Opening the mouth and letting that go with a sigh. Do that twice more, so gathering up any tension on your inhale through the nose. And with sound, let that go. Last one, make this the deepest breath so far today. And let everything go. Beginning to bring some movement into the hips. We're going to start with a little bit of a Sufi grind. I'm going to try to bring my ankle back in here. So just starting to create little circles in the hips. I'm beginning to notice that my pillow isn't quite as stiff or high as I need it to be. So just noticing that. Maybe if you're on a block, you need to actually come down so that you're able to get some motion here. Adjusting if you need to. There's nothing saying, there's no rule saying when you prop your yoga that that's it and you're stuck there for the rest of your practice. If you grab a prop, I'm all for it. Don't be afraid to use props. Just switching directions now with those circles. But if you grab a prop and you realize that it's actually not working for you and not comfortable, get rid of it. Adjust it, change it, move around a little bit. You're not stuck anywhere. Over here. I think he's walking just out of frame. Hey baby. Okay. He's very afraid. It's strange for me to notice that. I've always had cats that are very boisterous and then immediately want to get up in my space, so having a cat not immediately in love with me is kind of breaking my heart. So just completing those circles, kind of rocking side to side, just seeing what feels good for you. Now Heidi's trying to crawl in underneath my couch, but she's too big, luckily. Baby girl. Just getting a little bit of movement in those hips. And if you want to start doing those circles again, just making them a little bit bigger and start trying to bring the full movement of your spine in here. Moving your neck. Heidi's trying to rub her face on the tripod, so if you notice any movement, I apologize. Heidi, come here. Stop that. She knows whenever I'm recording. So just trying to, almost like you're doing a cat-cow, so inhaling the chest forward, perhaps letting the head drop back, and exhaling, curling the spine a little bit. Just getting that movement going in the hips, in the spine. You really want to wring that out before bed. If you, like me, have a tendency to restless legs, you really want to get some movement in your hips before bed, just to wring that all out. Just switching directions again. Just getting a little bit more movement here. And coming back to center, we're just going to do a quick neck stretch. Need to grab a block here. This is just for my ankle, so this isn't something that you need to do. I just find that I can't quite have it leaning down, so if I have something just above it, that kind of holds it. So just beginning to relax the arms down at the sides, placing the palms down flat or just up on the tips of the fingers. We're going to drop the right ear to the right shoulder. And just notice if immediately your shoulder came up to meet the ear. Just drop that down, sinking that down here, and taking your right hand, or the same hand as your ear that is down. You started with the other side, and just placing that on the side of your head, not yanking. You don't ever want to pull on your neck, but just adding a tiny bit of weight there. And beginning to creep that left arm out, really feeling the stretch in the side of the neck here, and just moving very slowly when you're stretching the neck. So perhaps you can start to tilt the chin down. Notice how that moves the stretch into the back of the neck. Or perhaps tilting the chin up a little and feeling how that moves the stretch all around the side of the neck. Just relaxing here again, making sure the shoulders are relaxed down. And releasing that hand back down, we're going to slowly roll the chin to the chest, perhaps pausing in the center for a moment, and then rolling that up to the other side, relaxing the shoulders down, and then bringing that same hand as the ear up onto your head, just resting that there lightly, perhaps creeping the fingers out a little bit. And just relaxing that ear down to the shoulder. Again, if you want to play with bringing your chin down slightly or up, just see where it feels good and just relax and breathe there. And releasing that hand down, just rolling the chin to the chest again. And over to that shoulder, keeping the shoulders relaxed down. Just doing a couple of half rolls here. If you really feel like you need to roll the head all the way around, go ahead and do so. If you have issues with your neck, this can be a little bit straining. So just sticking with the half circles if that's feeling good for you. And moving slow, perhaps tilting the chin up slightly, down slightly. Just relaxing the neck and bringing the head back up to center. We're going to roll over onto all fours. So bringing any props you need, perhaps under your knees, if you'd like that. I'm just going to move my pillow. So making sure that you're lining up the shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the knees. Just taking a neutral spine here. And when you're in your neutral tabletop, you do want to engage the core just slightly, just to make sure that you're not sinking down or anything like that. So staying quite strong and neutral here. The gaze can be down around where the fingers are, just so that the neck stays nice and long. And we're gonna just rock forward and backwards slowly, just beginning to work into the wrists, making sure that the fingers are spread here and pressing into the pads of the fingers and the knuckles to make sure that you're not using too much weight on the wrists. So just slowly and gently rocking back and forth here, making sure you're still breathing in and out through the nose. I'm not using any jarring movements, you just want to move slowly and gently. And then we're going to rotate the fingers out to the sides. And you can rock side to side, or you can do some small circles if that feels good for you. Just waking up the wrists. And just doing some small circles in one direction, and then changing directions. Ensuring that you're still lightly engaging the core and you haven't sunk into your shoulders here. You want to keep pressing out of the hands, out of the palms. And one at a time, flipping the fingers back towards the toes, and you can lean back here. Trying to bend into the elbow a little bit, or at least get that feeling. I feel like I'm trying to bend my elbow here, but as you can see, my arm is quite straight. This is a very intense stretch for me. So see what it feels like. This might be very easy for you. You might be like me and be a little less flexible in the wrists going backwards like this. Flipping that back and switching to the other wrist. Of course, if you're able and you'd like to, you can do both wrists at the same time. Again, trying to feel the sensation of bending into that elbow a little bit as much as you can. And stretching up the inner wrist. And releasing that hand, we're now going to flip our hands over so that we're on the tops of the hands with the fingers pointing towards the knees. Again, you can do this one at a time, or you can do both. I find that it usually is the person like me who can't go very far this way. This way is a lot easier for me. So just observe that and notice which one you might be. I like to try and rotate the eyes of my elbows out and try and make little fists here and see how that feels, stretching out that forearm. You could also do this against a wall, which feels quite nice too. And just stretching those arms out. And letting that go and just sitting back on the heels, which I can't do with my ankle, and just shaking out the hands. We're going to come back into our tabletop and just do some cat-cows to work into the spine a bit more. So again, making sure that you have the fingers nice and wide, stacking shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees, starting with the neutral spine. And as we inhale, we're going to drop the belly down, raising up our tailbone and lifting up the head. If this is too much on your neck, you can also leave the head at neutral, and just thinking of shining your chest through that space in your arms. Inhaling deep into the belly here, let the belly drop, and then on your exhale, pressing into the hands, pulling the scapula apart, pressing into your upper back, tucking the chin, tucking the tailbone, and squeezing navel to spine. Squeeze out all of that air. And then inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the head. And just flowing with your own breath here, your own time. Just continuing with these similar cat-cows. If you'd like to bring a little bit more movement in, I like to try to go almost as if I'm in a circle. So on your inhale, dropping the belly, and then you start to bring your right gaze towards your right hip, and then I start to press up into your exhale, into your angry cat, and then coming out the other side and sinking the belly back down. So making circles like that, really pressing into each expression of this pose, wringing out the spine, stretching into the ribs. And then switching directions. flowing with your breath here. Again, you can just keep doing the standard cat-cow. If you don't want to do the circles, that's totally fine. Just what feels good for you. And completing your last exhale. And then coming back to a neutral spine. We're going to bring the big toes to touch, opening the knees out wide, and just sinking back into your child's pose. If you would like to bring a prop under you for this, you can bring a pillow underneath of you. You can bring a block under your forehead, reaching the arms forward. If you'd like to rest the wrists, you could also bring them back like little chicken wings, or you can reach through your legs and grab for your heels, whatever feels best for you today. Just seeing what you need. Relaxing down. This is actually kind of hard on my ankle, so I might need to pop a leg here. Just releasing into those hips. Maybe rocking the forehead side to side, helping to release any tension that's there. Sinking down. And we're going to stay here for a few breaths, so just make sure that you're fully comfortable, grabbing any props you need, tuning into the breath, focusing on that. Noticing if your breath is beginning to slow down. Perhaps your hips are sinking lower towards the heels. Your heart is releasing closer to the mat. Feeling the body opening up, releasing down. Staying tuned in with the breath. Whenever that mind begins to wander, just gently drawing it back to the breath. Taking a few more breaths here, noticing if it's starting to get uncomfortable. Perhaps your mind is starting to get a little busier. Just trying to really deepen that breath and stay tuned in with the body, with the breath. Slowly beginning to release out of that. We're going to bring the knees back in. And we're just going to press into the hands and curl the toes under and lift the hips, coming into a downward facing dog. Just pedaling out the feet here, doing what you need to make this more comfortable. You can wag your tail back and forth. Taking a moment here in this inversion. And walking the hands back towards the feet, keeping the feet a little bit wider than hip width distance. You can bend the knees heavily if that's more comfortable for you, just coming into a forward fold. So releasing the neck down. You can reach for opposite elbows here. Just letting the head hang. Bringing the weight forward into the toes a little bit more. And breathing deeply. Rock side to side, just getting into the hamstrings a little bit here. So keeping those knees quite bent. Maybe you can straighten one leg and then the other. And lifting the head, we can start walking our hands back out into our downward facing dog. We're going to lift our right leg up and step that to the outside of the hands here, coming into our lizard. We are going to drop the back knee, so if you'd like to place something under your knee, you can go ahead and do that. I like to open my toes of the front knee to about a 45-degree angle and start to roll onto the side of my foot. That just really opens up my hip. If you'd like to grab a block, you can do that and just bring the elbows down onto that or onto the ground, but just try not to come to your deepest stretch right off the bat because you do want to have some motion. So I'm going to start off up on the block, just kind of sinking into my hips here for a few breaths. Since we are in these poses a little bit longer than normal, you do have a lot of time to sink in. So really letting gravity pull you down. Keeping the hands lined up under the shoulders. Make sure that you're breathing deeply in and out through the nose. Breathing into any spaces of tension. If you'd like to come a little bit deeper into the pose, you can go ahead and do that. Keeping that breath flowing. And if you feel like you really want to come out of the posture, as long as it's not because of pain, if it's just because it's an intense stretch, I invite you to stay for 2 more deep breaths. Hip openers can be quite intense, so you're not weird if you're feeling some emotions rising up or if you're feeling really uncomfortable right now. I feel it too. Just trying to breathe with that and stick with that and just observe what emotions are coming up. Perhaps you're starting to feel angry, or that fight or flight response is starting to kick in where you feel like, I gotta get out of here. Again, if it's pain, if you're feeling any pulling, do exit the postures, but if it is just a feeling of being uncomfortable, try to sit with it for just a second or 2 longer. This is where the work happens in our yoga postures, is when we want to exit the poses. Slowly beginning to rise ourselves back up. We can bring that leg around behind us, and then we're going to again plant our hands and come up into a downward facing dog. Just wiggle side to side there, see how that feels different in the 2 sides. And then we're going to lift our left leg up and reach it to the outside of that left hand. So we're in our lizard pose again, dropping our knee of the right foot. And just beginning to sink into that hip flexor. Again, I like to twist my foot out to a 45-degree angle and start to roll over onto that outside edge of the foot. You can grab your block here. And again, making sure that you're leaving a little bit of room here. You don't want to come to your 100 right away in yin postures. So just starting to feel the body sinking in, feeling that stretch in the hips. It might feel a little bit different, maybe a little easier on this side. Continuing to breathe deeply. If you'd like to come a little bit deeper, you can go ahead and do that now. And again, always checking in with your body to see if you're holding tension or tightness anywhere. Are you clenching your jaw? Have your shoulders come up to your ears? Just release that down. Really using the breath to release the body. And sending the breath to those places that are feeling a little bit of discomfort right now. So into that left glute, maybe the right hip flexor. Noticing if the mind has started getting really busy again. And just gently bringing it back to your breath, back into this experience. It's okay to sink into discomfort if that's what you feel. We have such a tendency to want to fix everything that's deemed wrong or bad, like anger and sadness. But these are just emotions. Nothing to be afraid of. Perhaps if you can sit with them instead of trying to immediately fix always, maybe you'll learn something about yourself. Two more breaths here. Slowly beginning to lift back up, again sweeping that knee back behind you. Just in our tabletop position here, just rocking side to side. Feeling how those hips feel now. We are going to come into another hip opener right away here. So we're going to come into pigeon pose. If pigeon pose is not accessible for you, you can always lay on your back and take figure four. So that's when you're laying on your back, crossing one ankle over your knee and pulling that in towards you. But if you would like to take pigeon pose, I like to make sure that I keep something under my knee. You can just rock over onto one hip. Start to bring the leg forward. Ideally, you can flex the foot and have your shin at a parallel to the front of your mat. But depending on your knees, my knees will not allow that. So mine actually comes quite far back and I have to leave my foot pointed. So just noticing what feels right for you. I then just rock up so that I'm right on top of my hips. Take a breath in here and then start to sink down. Again, just coming to a comfortable place here, maybe not coming all the way down just yet. I like to stick a pillow or a prop or something under my bum cheek of the bent leg so I can really feel like I'm held. Maybe you want to put a block there. See what feels comfortable for you. And again, if you're sitting like I am right now with your elbows down, sitting on your forearms, just notice if you're sinking into those shoulders and if they're up at your ears. You really want to press the ground away still and use the strength of the bones to hold you. So lining your elbows up under your shoulders. Continuing to breathe here. I like to rock a little bit just in and out when I first move into pigeon pose. This just helps me feel like I'm really working into that hip. And just letting that sink down. Feeling that left hip feeling open. Maybe you feel a lot of sensation in the glute. If you'd like to come a little bit deeper, you can go ahead and do that. Perhaps grab a prop. Or if you want to stay where you are, that's fine too. You don't have to go deeper ever. Sending the breath where you need it. Breathing deeply in and out through the nose. And if you ever do come a little bit deeper into a pose and then realize once you're there, ooh, this is way too deep for me, you can totally come out. There's no rule saying you have to stay in a really, really uncomfortable position. I always do say try to challenge yourself and stay in a posture for a little bit longer, but not if it's something where you feel like, not necessarily being injured, but that you're a little in over your depth. You just want to back off just a little bit. Feel free to do that. The only way to find out if you can go deeper in a pose is to try, but you don't want to be forced to stay there if it doesn't work out, because then you might be afraid to actually try, right? Slowly beginning to lift back up. We're going to stretch our quad out a little bit, so reaching back for your foot and just pulling that in towards you. Just to stretch the quad in the front of the leg. And then releasing that down, you can rock over to your hip and come all the way out of that. And we're going to switch sides, so your opposite knee is now going to be down. And again, pull your foot up in the front. I'm going to see if I can do this. I haven't actually tried a pigeon since I hurt my ankle. So we'll see if this works for me. So beginning to roll up. Oh yeah, I just really have to be on the top of my foot here. Alrighty, so coming into that, I may not be able to stay here for as long, but I'll make sure that I cue you guys so that you can stay in it. Oh, isn't it just a joy? Oh yeah, I can't do this one. So continuing in your pigeon, I'm going to switch into a figure 4 here because that's a little easier on my ankle on this side. So just releasing the body down. Taking your time with moving deeper if you want to move deeper at all. Breathing into that glute. Noticing again if your mind starts to get quite busy, just bringing that back into the body, into the breath, sitting with those emotions. Testing out if you want to go a little bit deeper into the pose. And then very slowly just coming back up and stretching out that quad again, and we'll see if I can do that one. Pulling that leg in towards you. Stretching out that quad. And then releasing that down. We are going to come to sit in bound ankle pose or butterfly pose. So palms, not palms, the soles of the feet together, knees out wide. I'm just starting to feel the knees dropping down. I'm gonna make myself a little tootsie roll here for my ankle. That's nice. And just holding on to the fronts of the shins here, We're gonna do almost like a cat-cow motion here, just for a moment, just to work into the spine and the hips again. So inhaling, we're gonna come forward, so pull on the shins, opening up the chest to the sky, perhaps dropping the neck back, if that's comfortable. And exhaling, pulling against the shins to curl into your upper back. Getting that feeling almost if you were to let go, you would go flying backwards. So pulling against that, opening up the back. And then again, sinking forward, gaze drops back. Inhale and exhale, curling back. And coming back up to neutral here, we're gonna release the ankles out a little bit, just so that you have a bit more of a diamond shape. And then coming up here, straight up on your sit bones, you wanna grow very tall, and then protracting the chin, we're gonna come down with a flat spine as far as you can with your back flat. Notice when you hit that wall, and then take an inhale, grow a little bit taller, add a little bit more length, and then you can start to curl down. Hands can come forward, they can be at the knees, perhaps holding onto your feet, and you can continue to do a lengthen and inhale if you'd like, so you can grow a little taller on your inhales and sink back down on your exhales. Just feeling into those hips as you come forward. Feeling the lower back release. If you'd like to grab a block and place it under your forehead here, you can also do that. That's a very nice restorative version of this pose. And slowly coming back up, we're going to extend our feet out long. I like to have a pillow with me for this one, so if you'd like that as well, you can just keep that close by. And we're gonna grow up nice and tall here. And a similar thing, starting to hinge at the hip, straight back, coming over the legs. If you'd like to hold onto your feet or your shins, you can do that. I also like to widen my legs just a tiny bit, just to make it a little bit more comfortable for my stomach. You can also bring a pillow in here. You can bring a block to place your head on. And as this isn't a standard practice, we don't have to have our legs as active as usual, so I naturally want to always flex my toes back as hard as I can, but you don't have to do that here. I like to place my hands under my ankles, kind of, just helps me hold on, but also keeps a little pressure off the heels. So growing tall, long flat back, releasing down. And forward folds are really great for releasing tension and stress. So if you're ever feeling that you're starting to feel stressed or panicky, taking a forward fold can be really helpful for that. Feel the back muscles stretching out, pulling up long. Sticking with the posture as it starts to get maybe a little uncomfortable. And Continuing to breathe in and out through the nose. And slowly, slowly starting to roll back up. Head is the last thing to come up and rolling the shoulders up and back. Not sure what my cats are scratching on, but hopefully that's not too loud on your end. Getting a little crazy there. We are going to flip over onto our tummies and just coming into Sphinx pose. So you want to have the elbows lined up under the shoulders, the palms are flat, and then think of almost tucking your pelvis slightly so that you're pressing your pelvis into the ground. This is going to take some pressure off your lower back. So just taking a moment here, opening the chest to the front of the room, perhaps lifting the head up, or you can tuck the chin to the throat if that's comfortable for you as well. Again, making sure that you're keeping the lower back safe, pressing your pelvis into the ground. Taking a moment here in this back bend. And in this pose, we're now going to do a half frog. So we're going to lift one knee out wide. As I'm on a really hard tile floor, I'm going to grab a little padding for under my knee. So you want the knee to come out from the hip, and then you want your ankle to line up under that knee. So you would like, ideally, to keep your hips even. You don't want to be up like this. You really want to sink that down and keep that foot open. So instead of like this, you want to have that nice and open, and start to think of sinking that hip down to the ground, almost as if you're leaning to that side. So just pressing into that hip. Again, keeping the standard Sphinx arms. Again, you can tuck the chin or lift the head. Breathing into that posture. In yin, this is alligator pose or crocodile pose. And maybe you don't feel anything here. Maybe this isn't very intense. This is also a very comfortable position to sleep in. If you sleep on your stomach, it's really nice to pop a leg. And releasing that back. We're going to switch sides. So just popping that knee out on the other side. Again, trying to keep it in line with the hip and keeping the ankle in line with that knee, and then making sure you're not rolled over like this. You want to be even in the hips, so sinking down into that open hip, pressing that down. Like frog, this is a really nice way to get into the hips and have them in a open position. But with frog, sometimes you might find that you feel like you're just sliding more and more open, and it's very, very intense. So this can be a little bit of an easier, safer way to kind of practice that open hip stretch when you don't have your full weight coming down on you in a bit of a precarious position. Just breathing here. And bringing that leg back in, we're just going to stretch the shoulders. So a similar pose, releasing one arm out straight. You can also do this with a cactus arm, which changes the stretch a little bit. And then we're just going to start to roll over to that side. You can bring your opposite leg up and over. You can release your head down if that's comfortable. Just stretching out that shoulder here. Again, moving slowly as you come deeper into this position, just to make sure that you're really being careful with that shoulder joint. You do not want to overexert the shoulder here. So just relaxing here, releasing down. Feeling that stretch across the pectoral, across the chest. Opening up the shoulder. And coming back over, we're just going to swap sides. So it's coming out straight with that other arm, rolling over, maybe lifting that front leg. And again, you can keep the head up or you can relax the head down. Just gently moving into that stretch, opening the chest, opening the shoulder. Breathing in and out through the nose. And beginning to come back over. We are going to roll over onto our backs now, keeping the knees up. We're just going to windshield wiper the knees for a second just to release the hips. And then coming into a twist. So we're going to release the arms out to the sides, bringing the knees up at about a 90-degree angle, and then just dropping them over to one side and trying to prioritize the shoulder that you're rolling away from. You want to keep that pressed into the ground. That's more important than getting the knees to the ground. So if you have to have your knees floating a little bit, that's totally fine if that's what keeps that shoulder nice and planted. And you can also gaze away at that thumb. You can use the top hand to peel you over, again, making sure that that shoulder stays down. And you'll notice that one side is a lot easier than the other. I can come down quite far on this side with my knees, with my shoulder still being plastered into the ground. But on my other side, I notice that my shoulder wants to come up a lot easier. And you can also prop this if you'd like. If you want to place some blocks under your knees, you can go ahead and do that. If you want both arms just out wide, you can do that as well. Just finding what's comfortable here. Again, if gazing at that opposing thumb is hard for your neck, you can keep the head up at center or rocking over towards the same side as your knees. There's always openness in the positions that you can take here. Just making sure that you're doing what feels best for you in this moment today. And don't get frustrated with yourself if you're different day to day. Maybe yesterday you did this twist and you could come all the way down with your knees, and today you can't. There's no point being frustrated, it's just your body. Maybe something's a little tight from the way you slept. If you walked a lot more today. There could be so many different factors of why your body feels different. So no judgment in your body. Just moving it how it needs to be moved. And rolling the head back to center, followed by the knees, and then just rocking over to the other side. Again, gaze can be over at that opposite thumb, keeping that shoulder pressed down. And just wringing out the spine. There are many old sayings by typically yogis, Buddhists, that kind of thing, stating that you are only as healthy as your spine is young. So the spine being the center of the whole body. It's really important to keep that moving and safe, wrung out, and just nice and mobile. And that will help with your general longevity as well, moving your body up into your old age. It has certainly helped me, not that I'm old by any means, but I find when I'm not doing any yoga that my one hip gets so cranky. Oh. As soon as I start doing it again, I immediately feel better. It's so good for you, y'all. And that massage on the organs as well. Twists are so good for digestion and stomach discomfort. And healing the head back to center, followed by the knees. We're just going to come into a happy baby here. It's one of my favorite inversions to come into before your Shavasana. So just reaching either for your shins, the outsides of your feet, whatever's comfortable. You can rock side to side a little bit here and flattening out the feet almost as if you're standing on the ceiling and pulling the feet towards you. Maybe straightening one leg and the other. Just getting those last little wiggles out before we come into our Shavasana. And when you're ready, you can just start to bring the legs down. If you don't feel safe in a Shavasana on your back, you can always flip over and take Shavasana laying on your front. If it's not comfortable to lay on your back, you can always lay in the fetal position. You can heavily prop yourself and come to a really comfortable seated position as well if that's more comfortable for you. You can keep your knees up if that's better for your lower back. Just finding that perfect, comfortable resting posture for yourself, for your body today. And just coming to that stillness, closing down the eyes. Beginning to feel the body releasing into the ground. Feeling the body coming to stillness. Dropping down. Just coming back into your breath. Coming back into the body as you relax. Let those postures that we did wash over you. Just breathing here in this present moment. Perhaps there's strange sounds coming from my end of the video. Maybe my cooler has decided to start going. Just hearing those sounds but not letting them take you out of this moment. Just allowing them to bring you more present. And then just moving back into your body, into your breath. Feeling held by the earth as you sink deeper, deeper down. Feeling all of your muscles releasing, all the tension seeping out into the earth. Feeling the eyes fall heavy into the head. Perhaps the jaw sinks back slightly. Just falling into comfortable relaxation in your Shavasana. Allowing that breath to move as it will as you take these next few moments for yourself. Just laying in the fetal position, using your bottom arm as a pillow for a moment, taking a minute here. And when you're ready, just using your hands to help press you up, coming into your comfortable seated position. And just really quickly, we're going to do a quick little meditation. So very quickly, as I've mentioned before, metta is the practice of sending love or care to someone else. There are 4 stages. The first one is sending love, caring, energy to yourself. Second is sending it to someone who it is very easy for you to love. Third is sending to a stranger. And the 4th and final stage is sending it to someone who it's not so easy for you to love. So, placing a hand onto your heart, we're just going to start visualizing just love and joy pouring into our bodies from that hand. And if it's easier for you to visualize, think of looking at yourself in the mirror, staring right into your own eyes. And you can repeat these lines after me out loud or in your head, but really thinking of sending them shooting straight into yourself. I wish for you to be happy. I wish for you to be healthy. I wish for you to experience peace. I wish for you to know freedom. Deeply inhaling through the nose and then opening the mouth, letting that go. Next, visualizing someone who it's very easy for you to love. Perhaps this is a significant other, family member, a pet, friend, a teacher. Just visualizing that person and wherever they are in the world, whether they're in the same house as you, just a few steps away, or maybe they're in another country. Just visualize just a string of energy coming from your heart all the way to theirs. And just imagine that these feelings, love and kindness, are floating across the airwaves, through the house, maybe across the ocean, and landing straight in their heart, almost as if they might feel a tingling sensation or feel suddenly happy without knowing why. Again, you can repeat after me out loud or in your head as you visualize this person or pet. I wish for you to be happy. I wish for you to be healthy. I wish for you to experience peace. I wish for you to know freedom. Deep breath in through the nose and opening the mouth, sigh that out. Next, I'll be sending care and love to a stranger. So this could be one person, perhaps you saw someone struggling today that you don't know. Or it could be a little bit more vague and perhaps wide. It could be all of humanity, perhaps. Everyone living on your street. Everyone in a certain country, maybe. And just getting that idea of those people, that person in your head. And again, visualizing that stream of joy and love coming from your heart into theirs. Repeat after me out loud or in your head. I wish for you to be happy. I wish for you to be healthy. I wish for you to experience peace. I wish for you to know freedom. Deep breath in through the nose and let it go. Our last stage, we're going to send love to someone who we find it hard to love. If you currently are having a trauma experience with someone, please don't choose that person. Keep yourself safe. Just choose someone that you are having a hard time with. Perhaps it's someone you normally do love quite a lot, a family member, and you've just had a fight today, so you're feeling a little bit of anger towards them. Perhaps it's your ex-best friend, and you're still harboring some anger towards them, some hurt feelings. Maybe it's just someone that you've drifted away from and there isn't necessarily an active anger or sadness emotion towards them, but they're just no longer in your life. No, they may not be someone who's in your life anymore. Perhaps they did do you wrong in some way. Again, not in any way that is traumatic, but just in a lighter way. Perhaps they stole something from you or stole your idea at work, something like that, called you a name maybe. Anything where you can find it in your heart to send them off with love. They don't need to be in your life, they don't need your forgiveness. Just wish them well and let them go. So visualizing that person and repeating after me out loud or in your head. I wish for you to be happy. I wish for you to be healthy. I wish for you to experience peace. And I wish for you to know freedom. Taking the deepest breath in through your nose, and with sound, letting all of that go. To heart center, or placing the palms flat on the chest, gently bowing the head to honor yourself, taking a moment to feel gratitude for your body, for moving you today. Whether you have an injury right now and you're not moving at your greatest, maybe you're not feeling great today, just still feeling that moment of gratitude that your body still is able to help you out, move you around, hold you. And feeling gratitude for yourself as a whole, for coming to your mat today, and for everything that you do every day. You have survived 100% of your worst days, and you will continue to do so. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. The light in me honors, acknowledges, and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that this practice was able to loosen you up and bring you a little bit of relief if you're feeling a little tight, and get you nice and ready for bed and nice and wound down. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and shoot me a comment down below to let me know what you enjoyed and what you would like to see in future. Please also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you would like notifications every time I post. I post every Saturday and occasionally during the week when the mood strikes. You can also follow me on Instagram at Harmonious Hippy, and I would greatly appreciate and enjoy if you would let your friends and family know to come and visit me as well. I so appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Namaste.